the street. This kind of information is really sensitive, and it's pretty much for your eyes only. So as we're looking on the side of protecting your client, there's a lot of legalities and compliance that's coming into the market. It's shaping the market in technology. A lot of people focus on social media, so your goal is to network. At the same time, you have to protect that sensitive data, and people are just after the data. More often than not, it's not even for profit wise. It's just to build networks and to sell databases, and just to just break networks. People are just into breaking this. So this is more like a security within the new technology. We just have a few bullet points we just want to just bring up for protecting your practice on the client side. And again, my name is Mr. Ebo Richards, and you're watching Hejspan TV, and this is IZ Corp Exchange, and I am the CEO and founder of IZ Corp Exchange, and I run the board on the Hejspan and oversee a lot of the research that we do. Be prepared for the worst case scenario. You hear it all the time on the news today. Oh, Citigroup's, not to call anybody out, but you hear businesses, they just come out of nowhere. You wouldn't even expect it. You may be doing business with, oh, this social media guy, their account's been hacked. Well, you don't want that to happen, So and the main thing here is privacy. Privacy is the main goal here with this security thing. So you be prepared for a worst case scenario. The client is your focus and your practice. And that's the most important asset, is your client. So if you can't protect the sensitive information of your client, you might be involved in a family office, and here's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sensitive information, and all of a sudden somebody else has it without your permission. You could lose that client. You could pretty much forget about it, because once they find out, and we discuss here, it's best to let them know before they find out. You're ruined. Unless you have some kind of clause or relationship with them in your contract. If I was handling your bank accounts, and all of a sudden I wake up and call you and say, or I don't call you, and you find out, well, my bank account's been hacked, and it's because we found out they traced it through you. Well, you're going to still want to do business with me, even though I'm making you a lot of money. You'll be thinking about it. You'll be scratching your head saying, you know what, I don't even think it's worth it. I have money, but I don't want to lose it, and I don't want to have all these problems when I go play with my money. Oh, all of a sudden I'm investigated because of fraud, or somebody's been using my machines, or using my cards, or anything like that, writing checks or transferring money without my knowledge. And then what happens is your practice becomes the prime suspect, because people say, well, there's somebody inside your organization, or you're stealing from me. So you have to pay close attention to this, protecting your practice on the client side, and what Hejspan, the information Hejspan is bringing to you right now. The technology is young. That's a plus for business. So many economists would argue 5 years from now, we won't have a problem like this. We won't have people breaking your firewalls, coming into your bank accounts. There's going to be so much more security. I don't think the perpetrators will be able to keep up. So the technology is good. That's a plus for your practice. That's a plus. Keep that in mind. A lot of this technology that we're using now, it's not even 10 years old. It may have been around for a while, but it's not even matured. It's still in its infancy. And remind you, there's a lot of cyber incidents that go on, and there's a lot of malware, and there's a lot of things that are surfacing. Your incident response is very important, and you always have to remember the privacy part of this allows you to be more involved with the legalities and the compliance of the industry, and where you are in the industry. Know the legalities of privacy, which we were just mentioning, which is key. Everything is there. This transparency thing, it could come back to bite you in the patootie, because you know, you're supposed to be so up close and personal and transparent with what you're doing, but you still have to protect yourself at the same time. So it's like, then there's a lot of oversight where governments, without even your permission now, can come in and say, well, we're just monitoring the situation. And do you trust, what I mean? So it's a lot of trust issues here. So transparency, and as the regulation is being more and more, excuse me, we'll be with you in a second. And as the regulation is being more scrutinized, you have to ask yourself, is insurance even necessary? Insurance, I mean, it couldn't hurt, depending on what kind of contract you're getting or what you're into. The insurance could, in fact, help your business. You have to, and mainly what you have to do is, like, as the technology is growing and the industries are booming, the laws of the federal jurisdiction and the laws of the state may be different. You might be in this federal thing, you might be up in the Midwest or something, and they're not as tedious as, let's say, a San Francisco is, where they're like, we don't have any zero, we don't tolerate this at all. We're going to protect more of the clients. But while maybe up in the Midwest, and this is not neither here nor there, they might say it's more of your responsibility to make sure that your business is protected. That's not, you can't put that on me. I had an incident once when I was first starting out in 2009. An email server that I was using got hacked, and it was sending out some really weird stuff to people, and I wasn't doing it. So I went to the local law enforcement, and they pretty much told me, you know what, there's nothing we can do about that. So that was a couple years ago. I just let it go. I still have the same email today, but I don't use it as much as I was back then. Another good thing, an example, is when you're looking at hedge funds. What we're pretty much discussing here, the laws of hedge funds are different. If in Tennessee, you might be able to raise so much money before you have to have a specific or a certain identity of regulation. And again, out west, up northwest in the mountains, it might be like, no, if you're going to be raising capital here to start hedge funds, you have to have this, and this, in regulations. So the same thing goes for the technology, and you have to be aware of it, because there's a business we have, and I know a lot of you are aware of it. Things for Kings. It's a young business, and we're just playing around with it. We like the platform, we like the company that's serving us, but you're not just going, well, it's not like you have a franchise down the street at McDonald's where you're saying, oh, we have like our Sauces barbecue grill pit, and we're like, well, we're only over here on Fridays and Wednesday evenings, and you can get our special sauce over here and come have a drink and chill out and relax with us. Somebody in Delaware wouldn't be able to do that. But with the cyber and the stuff you're selling now, people, it's not just people in your neighborhood, in your community, or in your state, or in your country. It's global. And a lot of times you do business with people and you make lots of money. You have a revenue stream coming in that's constantly growing, and a network that's constantly growing. Just like on social media, more people see you and they get interested. And a lot of times you don't know these people. They don't know you, you don't know them. It's not like they walk in the store and they're on camera, or they swipe their card in front of you or something. You have no idea what they're doing. You just look in your computer, and your computer's smiling at you with an extra $100 or something. So that's the way we work today. So we have to protect ourselves. Human resource department, if you might want to just implement cybersecurity squads and train your employees correctly, and take this serious, because a lot of people hire family and friends and they make them their inner sanctum, and just because something goes wrong, they'll say, well, my brother's not going to fire me, my nephew, I work for my uncle, he's not going to let me go if something goes wrong. And they might not take this serious, but this is very, very serious. This is right up here with the actual trade or the investment or your business compliance startup or whatever it is that you're doing. The cybersecurity these days is very important, and it falls under in the category of protecting your practice and your client, because your client is your number one asset. Knowing the systems and the capabilities that are full, and make sure that they're fully integrated with your practice. You don't just want some shady tree people. You want to know who you're working with, know the system and the capability of the system. Just like a regular contract. It's, a person, you might be using a platform doing something, selling products, selling shoes or something. And you don't know how strong it is. You don't know how much it could take, how much weight, how many people can do business with you that day. So you have to integrate. How deep am I into this? So you can hold that company accountable, because there's like red tape. There's like fine red print. And sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes they don't even know. You can come in and there's a window. You don't even have to hack them. They can just go in and it's right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, you can be doing business with somebody and you just log off. You don't log off. You just close the screen, but you're still open to the world. Is still open. You know what I mean? So they may not tell you that, or you may not be aware of it, or they might not be aware of it. This is a fast-moving, competitive industry, this technology, and especially the cyber security and the platforms that people are using to generate revenue. Your passwords, your encryptions, and are data sensitive, and that's the needs of your client. That's how the client comes into your platform and protects themselves. And if you don't have encryption set up properly, you could just be pretty much giving away information and a lot of money along with it. So then again, the insurance comes in, but just because you're covered with insurance, that's neither here nor there, because what happens is, it's red tape. You're like, well, damn, I don't need this right now. So you don't want to just say, well, I lost the money, the insurance will cover it. There's a lot more to it than that. It could take months for you to get your identity or even find out what's going on, because at the same time, law enforcement is trying to catch the bad guys and the perpetrators. The knowledge of airdrop or in how info travels is another thing that's going on. You have to know the platforms that you're using when you're sending information, because it could be intercepted along the way. So you have to get with your people and find out, well, if I'm sending this information this way, I'm bringing in orders and I'm sending it back. How is this being seen? You have to understand who's protecting you in your area. Keep your clients up to date. Make sure your clients are up to date, even when tragic happens. Don't let them find out before you tell them. Don't let them tell you before you tell them. If they come to you and say, we were hacked, and what are you going to sit there? But you're going to sit there and say, well,